When we speak of the Aghoris, most minds leap immediately to the most dramatic images: ash-smeared bodies, funeral pyres, skulls used as bowls. But if you look only at the surface, you will miss the true depth of their wisdom. The Aghori path is not about shock value. It is about fearlessness, liberation, and piercing through the illusions that bind us. Their practices, as terrifying as they may appear to the common eye, are in truth mirrors held up against life and death itself. What do the Aghoris teach us? At their core, their wisdom revolves around three truths: death, fear, and liberation. These are not abstract concepts for them. These are living realities. Let us walk slowly into their world and understand why they live the way they do. First, death. In ordinary society, death is hidden, whispered about, avoided. We keep it behind curtains in hospitals and cremation grounds where only a few go and fewer still dare to look. But the Aghori lives with death daily. He sits by the funeral pyre, chants while bodies burn, and sometimes even meditates with a corpse beside him. To many this feels horrifying, but ask yourself, why? Why is it horrifying? Because we fear death. Because we fear the reminder that all this, our wealth, our beauty, our possessions, will one day turn to ash. The Aghori refuses to deny this truth. Instead, he embraces it. By sitting in the presence of death, he dissolves the illusion that life is permanent. He sees that what we call me and mine is passing, fragile, temporary. And in that realization lies a freedom most of us will never know. Second, fear. The world runs on fear. Fear of losing, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of death. These fears silently guide our choices every single day. The Aghori, however, challenges fear at its root. Why eat from a skull? Why smear yourself with ash? Why sit in a cremation ground at midnight? It is not to appear strange. It is to face fear so directly that it no longer has any power. Imagine holding the very thing you dread most in your hands until it loses its grip on your heart. This is the Aghori way. By embracing what the world rejects, he demonstrates that freedom lies on the other side of fear. The snake, the corpse, the ashes, these are symbols of the things we run from. The Aghori runs toward them, and in doing so, he becomes untouchable by fear. Now liberation. In Sanskrit, we call it moksha. Liberation is not simply about escaping the cycle of rebirth. It is about being free even while alive, free from attachment, free from illusion, free from the endless desires that chain us.
The Aghori says everything is Shiva.
The burning body, the howling jackal, the river, the storm, the joy of birth, the sorrow of loss, all are expressions of the same divine energy. If all is Shiva, then what is there to reject? What is there to cling to? This radical acceptance is the heart of their liberation. For them, purity and impurity are illusions. Holy and unholy are human judgments. The divine flows through all things equally. When you see this truth, nothing in the world can disturb your inner peace. Let me share with you a story from the oral traditions. An Aghori once sat meditating by the Ganga, his body covered in ash, his only possession a human skull bowl. A young seeker approached him, trembling.
Baba, why do you live like this? Why do you eat what others throw away? Why do you sit among corpses?
The Aghori looked at him and smiled faintly.
Because everything you fear, everything you reject, everything you despise, that is where Shiva hides.
If you want freedom, you must bow not only to the temple but also to the cremation ground. You must honor not only the sweet but also the bitter. This is their teaching, that the path to liberation does not lie in running from life's darkness, but in facing it with open eyes and an open heart. Now, how can these lessons apply to us, living in the modern world, far removed from the banks of the Ganga and the flames of the pyre? The wisdom is not about copying their rituals, it is about embodying their spirit. For example, how do you face death? Do you avoid the thought of it, or do you sit with it, reflect on it, and let it guide your life with clarity? How do you face fear? Do you let it dictate your choices, or do you look it in the eye and walk forward anyway? And how do you approach liberation? Do you cling to what feels safe, or are you willing to release even the illusions you hold most dear? The Aghori way is not for everyone. It is fierce, it is raw, it is confronting, but its essence can teach us all something vital. It teaches us that fear is a teacher, not a prison, that death is not an end, but a mirror, that liberation is not found in escape, but in acceptance. Think of the times you have been broken when grief, loss, or suffering weighed so heavily you thought you could not rise. In those moments, most people ask, why me? But the Aghori would ask, what is Shiva showing me here? That shift in perspective transforms pain into wisdom, fear into freedom. So the next time fear grips you, remember the Aghori standing in the cremation ground, staring into the flames without trembling. The next time loss tears you apart, remember the ash smeared on his body, reminding us that everything ends, and in that ending lies truth. The next time you crave liberation, remember his mantra, all is Shiva, nothing is outside the divine. The hidden teachings of the Aghoris are not really hidden, they are in plain sight, but we must be willing to look past our fear to understand them. Their life is a living scripture, written not in words but in ashes, bones, fire, and silence. And if you listen closely, their message is simple. Do not run, do not hide, face death, face fear, and in that confrontation, you will find liberation. If this message has resonated with you, I invite you to join this journey by subscribing to the Aghori Code. Together, we can build a community that learns not only from light, but also from the shadows. A community that refuses to be broken by fear, and instead learns to walk through life with the same fearlessness as the Aghoris themselves.